Nonsense. It's private property, ours. Unlock it, I own this.
Look, the sign says not for sale, but it's sold.
She was standing in my driveway like she owned it. Clipboard, heels, and that smug HOA grin that said rules apply to everyone but her. I didn't know it yet, but this was the morning my patience and my property line would both be tested. My name's Mark. I bought this cabin 6 years ago to get away from people like her, the self-appointed neighborhood royalty who think a committee gives them divine power. I wasn't part of the HOA. My land sat just outside the boundary line, or at least it used to. That morning, when I walked out with my coffee, there she was, Linda, president of the Lakeside Homeowners Association, and beside her, a man in a suit holding a clipboard, looking over my fence like a vulture eyeing roadkill. "This is the property," Linda said proudly, gesturing toward my cabin. The man nodded. "Perfect spot. We'll list it immediately." I blinked. "Excuse me?" Linda turned, smiling as if she'd been waiting for an audience. "Yes, Mark. You can help by clearing your things. The HOA has decided to sell this parcel to new buyers." I laughed at first. Honest, I did. Thought maybe she was joking. But then I saw it. A shiny new for sale sign jammed into my soil, my address, my acre, her name printed below as community representative. "Ma'am," I said, setting my mug on the porch rail, "you're trespassing." "Not anymore," she said, tightening her blazer. "This land is now part of the Lakeside expansion. You'll receive notice soon." "Funny," I said slowly, "because last I checked, the HOA doesn't own me or my land." She smirked. "We'll see about that." That's when I noticed the gate. My gate, with a lock that wasn't mine. Chrome, brand new. She had changed it. The man beside her, the realtor, gave an awkward cough. Maybe we should..." She cut him off with a raised hand. "Don't worry. He won't be here much longer." I looked at that lock, then back at her, and something in me went still. I didn't yell, didn't argue. Just turned, walked into my shed, and came back out with my own heavy chain, a steel lock, and a bright red sign I'd been saving for emergencies. While they whispered, I looped the chain around the gate, clicked it shut from my side, and hung the sign. Private property. Trespassers will be prosecuted. Linda's smile snapped. "You can't do that." I took a slow sip of coffee. "Watch me." Within minutes, she was on her phone, barking orders to someone named security. The realtor stepped back, muttering something about not being paid enough for this. Curiosity beat. But I didn't know yet. This was only the first move in a much bigger game. 15 minutes later, a white SUV rolled up the dirt road, dust swirling like a storm behind it. 2 men stepped out. Black uniforms, no department logos, one cheap badge clipped to a belt. The taller one puffed his chest. "Sir," opened the gate. I leaned on the fence. "And you are..." "Community enforcement," he said flatly. "Right," I said. "Which law gives you the right to be on my property?" Linda crossed her arms. "They represent the HOA. That's enough authority." I stepped closer, voice calm but sharp. "Lady, I trained real law enforcement. SWAT, deputies, state police. You too? You're not on any roster I've ever seen." The taller man hesitated. The shorter one shifted nervously. Linda jumped in again, desperate to control the narrative. "You can't intimidate us with your stories." "Oh, it's not a story," I said, pulling out my phone. "It's a live call to the county sheriff. You'd either leave now or explain to him why you're wearing fake badges." Silence. Then, in the distance, the low hum of an engine. A county patrol truck rolled up the road, red and blue lights flashing through the trees. The real sheriff stepped out. Big shoulders, mirrored sunglasses. The kind of man who didn't need to raise his voice to make people obey. "Morning," he said, looking from Linda to me to the wannabe cops. "Someone want to tell me what's going on here?" Linda jumped in fast. "Yes, this man is illegally occupying HOA property. He's blocking a sale and threatening my officers." The sheriff raised one eyebrow. "That's so." I held up my phone. "Actually, Sheriff, this is my land. They're trespassing. Those two are impersonating officers, and she replaced my lock. I've got everything on video. The sheriff turned to the fake officers. Names! One stammered. The other mumbled something about temporary status. Badge numbers? Silence. Linda tried again. This is a community matter. The HOA has full authority here. The sheriff gave her a long, cold look. Ma'am, unless your HOA owns this man's deed, you have no authority to sell, lock, or list his property. Understand? She hesitated, then smirked, reaching into her bag. Actually, I do have the deed. She handed over a folder. The sheriff flipped through it, then frowned. Well, that's interesting, he said, because this says ownership was transferred 2 weeks ago. My stomach dropped. What? She crossed her arms triumphantly. All legal. He's been living here without ownership. I looked down at the signature. Scribbled crooked, not mine. My name wasn't even spelled right. That's forgery, I said quietly. She shrugged. County records already updated. We even paid the taxes. With whose money? I asked. She didn't answer. The sheriff sighed. If this is fake, that's felony fraud. But we'll have to verify. Linda's tone turned syrupy. Fine. While you verify, he can start packing. Not happening, I said, stepping up to the fence. Sheriff, 2 months ago I installed a plate recognition camera. Every car, every visitor, logged, time-stamped, and stored off-site. We can check who walked into the courthouse with those papers. For the first time, Linda's confidence cracked. You can't use that. It's a violation of... It's my land, I interrupted. My cameras, my evidence. The sheriff nodded slowly. All right, let's head to my office. We'll confirm it. Before we could leave, another vehicle rolled up, black SUV, tinted windows, no plates. A tall man stepped out. Polished shoes, tailored suit, the kind of presence that makes everyone else feel smaller. Linda paled instantly. I didn't think you'd come in person, she stammered. He didn't look at her. His eyes went straight to me. Officer, he said, voice smooth but cold. We can settle this privately. We have rights. The sheriff tilted his head. And you are... He flipped a leather wallet. Not a badge, just a gold embossed card. Marlowe and Steele Holdings. I frowned. So you're the buyer? He smiled faintly. Let's just say I represent interests that want this land urgently. Linda chimed in. Mr. Steele has connections. This is bigger than you think. Mark, if you move out now, you'll be compensated. I snorted. Compensated? For my own property? The sheriff's patience thinned. Either the deed is real or it's not. Until we confirm, no one crosses that gate. Steele leaned closer. Sheriff, you don't know who you're dealing with. I chuckled. Funny. That's exactly what I was going to say. I glanced at the sheriff. You might want to pull the original title. The one filed in '05. My father's name. Transferred to mine. Certified and notarized. Linda scoffed, but her voice trembled. That doesn't matter. Titles get updated. Steele's gaze flicked toward her. You told me this was clean. Her lips tightened. It was supposed to be... The sheriff's radio crackled. Dispatch to Unit 4. Courthouse footage confirms suspect matching female, mid-50s, short blonde hair, floral blouse. All eyes turned to Linda. She froze. That's not me. The sheriff crossed his arms. We'll see about that. He turned to Steele. And you're coming in for questioning too. Steele didn't argue, but as we headed toward the vehicles, I caught him stepping aside, phone at his ear. Plan B, he said quietly. Do it tonight. Those 3 words burned into my mind. I followed the sheriff's truck halfway, then veered off the back trail through the woods, straight to a vantage point overlooking my cabin. I waited. 20 minutes later, a dark van crept down the road and stopped just shy of my gate. 2 men stepped out, gloves, masks, one holding a red gas can. So that was Plan B. I hit record on my phone and stayed hidden until the first man started cutting my chain. Then I stepped out of the shadows, racking the pump on my shotgun just loud enough to freeze their blood. Private property, I said evenly, And you're 5 seconds from explaining to the sheriff why you brought gasoline. They froze. One dropped the can. The other stammered. We were maintenance. Maintenance doesn't come at midnight, I said. Smile, you're on 3 cameras and 1 live stream. I didn't even need to call the sheriff. His patrol lights flared through the trees. He doubled back after noticing Steele's suspicious call. Within minutes, both men were cuffed. Guessing they're not your contractors, he said dryly. Not even close. I replied, handing over my phone. Listen to the audio file. You'll hear who sent them. By nightfall, Linda was in custody for fraud, trespassing, and forgery. Steele, full name Jonathan Steele, was charged with conspiracy to commit arson and property theft. Turned out his company had been targeting older parcels on the county edge, using fake deeds and corrupt clerks to seize land cheap. Mine was supposed to be their easiest target. Instead, it was their undoing. When I locked my gate that night, a new sign hung beside it. Protected land, owner armed and recording. The porch light flickered softly across the yard my father built, and for the first time in months, I felt peace again. I looked toward the empty road and muttered, I didn't fight for this land to hand it to thieves. And as the crickets sang in the woods, I realized some fights aren't about winning. They're about reminding people that lines, property lines, moral lines, still mean something. Because out here in my corner of the world, the HOA doesn't own me. Not now. Not ever.